Presentation is called Building a Beautiful Game. On the surface level, it's a very simple game. You have 11 players on two teams, and they're both trying to kick a ball into the back of the net. But when you actually look at what's going on, what these teams are actually trying to do to achieve that goal, it gets very complex and intricate. There's a movement off the ball, the timing of the pass. There is also like the pace of the movement. When the players stop, start, go, change speed, change direction. And so all these things have to come together in a very coordinated fashion. How can we begin to analyze and understand what teams are actually doing? So that's where this concept of braids comes in. How we generate that braid, where X and Y are the actual field coordinates of the players, and then that Z-axis is the time axis. Breaks down a bit further, we essentially project that braid onto the Y-axis, which would be the length of the field, and the X-axis, the width of the field. And so essentially we're distinguishing player crisscrossing and player overlapping runs. Instead of looking at all 11 players at once, we broke it down to these 4 tactical units based off the team center. So you have players on the attacking right-hand side of the field, on the attacking left, defensive right, defensive left. We can now code these patterns formed by these groups by these braid words. We actually broke the team down to these subunits, generated these braids, coded them in words. We found, for example, that the attacking left-hand players versus the attacking right showed significantly different frequencies of braid words. Right? So on the left-hand side, you had this AAD pattern, and you can see what that actually looks like on the field here. And on the right-hand side, you have ABA. And start looking at phases of play and what we call transitional play in football. So a phase of play is just, there's 2 main phases of play. Attacking, when you have the ball and you're trying to score, or defensive, right? When the opposition has the ball and you're trying to prevent them from scoring. And then transitions would be the transitions between the two. Attacking transition, defensive transition, right? And these are essentially critical phases or critical moments in football. Here we have 5 defenders, 4 midfields, 1 forward. And then when they transition to attack, they go to 3 forwards, 4 midfielders, and 3 defenders. How these transitions happen and how smooth they are like very critical in terms of the team's success in scoring. We can use the braid structure and breaking down those tactical units to actually understand how teams do these transitions. From the training aspect of it, or the tactical coaching aspect of it, this becomes really important because, again, for scouting opposition or preparing your own tactical plans, this gives the coach a very concrete thing to look at and actually take to the training field. And so there's this notion of braid entropy. And so entropy in general just is describing the complexity of the system. So if you have this loop going around your braids, as those players are switching in and out, we notice that loop gets more and more warped. The length of the loop describes the complexity of the system. The faster it happens and the more complex the weaving patterns are, the quicker and the more that loop varies. So that would be reflected in the braid entropy. Over the minutes of the match, if we look at the differences in complexity of the attacking versus defensive teams, and then the difference in entropy between the left and right sides of play, between the left and right wings, the entropy is relatively similar. But between the attacking and defensive units, over time, the entropy actually increases in the system. There's this disparity between what the attacking players are doing and the defensive players. And so there's kind of gap between the two versus between the wings, they remain rather in sync. This is useful in terms of looking at where players might be fatiguing, essentially weaknesses are showing up in our team and when they're showing up.